Welcome back. In this video we're going to cover selections in object mode, or simply put, how to select objects. We'll cover selections when in editing mode in a later video. For this video, let's create a few duplicates of our cube. Since our cube is already selected, we can hit Shift D to create a duplicate. Move it over, and repeat a few times. A total of 5 should do just fine. Now to clear my current selection so we can begin, I'll press the A key. The A key is a toggle hotkey and will alternate between deselecting all current selections and selecting everything, even the lights and cameras. In simple terms, the A key is all or nothing. While this can be useful, we'll need a little more precision to control our scene. The most common method for selecting an object is to simply right-click on it. As you can see, the object becomes outlined in orange to show that it's selected. If we wish to add more objects to our selection, we can hold the Shift key and right-click on the additional objects we want, like so. It's important to note that the last cube I selected is highlighted in a lighter orange color. This means that object is the last object in the selection order. Now that may not mean anything to you right now, but don't worry, it will. All you need to know for now is that some of Blender's functions, such as parenting, rely on a selection order to function. Now, if I accidentally selected something I didn't want, we can also deselect objects. Simply hold the Shift key while right-clicking. The first click will make the object the active object in that lighter shade of orange. A second right-click will deselect it. Alright, let's reselect that cube. But first, let's hit our Z key and toggle the wireframe mode. Now if we click on the cube, we can only select it by actually clicking on the wireframe. Clicking in the empty space of the cube does nothing for us. Alright, let's toggle Z again to get back to shaded mode, and deselect everything else by hitting that A key. We can also left-click to select objects, but we have to left-click on them in the outliner panel. We can add selections, again, by shift left-clicking additional objects. Note that the last selection, our light orange or active selection, shows up in the outliner as white text. Alright, I'll hit A again to deselect everything. Our next form of selecting is to use the C key. I'm getting this one out of the way because it's not my personal favorite, but it might be yours, who knows. When we press the C key, we get a selection circle. If we scroll the mouse wheel back and forth, it will change the size of the circle. It's important to note that in this mode, at least 50% of the object must be inside the circle for it to be selected. Also, no other key is required to make additional selections, like so. Another distinction to be aware of is that when selecting this way, the last item that was our active selection remains so, as we can see in our outliner. Let's demonstrate this. I'll deselect everything. In the outliner, we can see that my last active selection remains highlighted in white. When I circle select all of my objects, that one remains my active selection. While in this mode, holding Shift while selecting becomes your deselect function. To exit this mode, simply right-click in an empty space, or hit Escape. Note that when we deselected our active selection, it still remained highlighted in the outliner, and our last two selected cubes are not light orange. To make one of them the active selection, hold Shift and right-click on it, just as you would hold Shift and right-click once when using the right select to make one an active selection. Another way of selecting is to use a lasso select. So I will deselect everything. Now, by holding down Control and the left mouse button, I can drag a selection around objects. The lasso select, like the circle select, has the 50% rule applied. I can also reselect in this way by using Control, Shift, left mouse button. Did I say reselect? I meant deselect. Never mind that, I am sorry. I can deselect in this way using Control, Shift, left mouse button. Now, my favorite selection mode is this one. Let's deselect everything again. And let's press the B key, or box select. I'll hit 7 on my numpad to go to top view, and hit B to bring up my target selector. When I drag it over any objects, they will be selected, even if it only touched them slightly. I can also add to my B selection by just hitting B again and making another selection around another object. I can also add a selection by holding down the Shift key and selecting another object. To deselect objects, I can hold Shift and double right click like we've already gotten used to. I can also hit B again and make my selection while holding the Shift key to deselect one or more objects. Now, that about covers our main selection methods. There are other specialty selections, but we'll deal with those down the road. And remember, Shift plus D will let you duplicate your selections so that you can practice. Right now, once again, it's quiz time. Here we go. What is the simplest way to make a selection? What determines the active selection when using the circle, lasso, or box selects methods? If you have made a box selection and wish to add to it, what 2 methods could you employ? Which 2 methods require at least 50% coverage to select? What hotkey allows us to toggle wireframe and solid modes? How do we duplicate objects? And lastly, what does the A key do? All right, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.